Hi everyone, Melissa here. In today's video, I want to share a personal success story that happened to me recently about how to manifest healing for others. So if there is someone in your life who is ill, or if you want to manifest healing for yourself, I think this video will really help you. And I hope that you had a wonderful holiday. Okay, so I'm going to try to omit some personal information just to help protect the privacy of this person. But over the holiday week, recently, I had a family member who had an unexpected accident. They had a fall, and it was really just, we didn't see it coming. It was a total accident and they had a fall. Okay, so as a result of the fall, they felt really injured. So I took them to the hospital because they weren't, it seemed like they were in a lot of pain, and we just needed to make sure that they didn't, break something, get hurt really badly. So in the moment of the fall, I definitely reacted. I got stressed out. I was worried about them. So I took action in the 3D and took them to the hospital. The whole time we were going there, I was just focusing on getting them the care that it seemed like they needed in the moment, okay? So I wasn't ignoring the circumstance. I was acknowledging it and taking action towards an end goal of, this person's going to be okay. We're going to get them treatment. Okay, so we got to the hospital, and the whole time we were there, I kept telling myself, you know what? It's okay. They're going to be okay. It's nothing serious. There's nothing broken. We're going to get through this. Everything's going to be okay. So as this person is being evaluated, they're still in a whole bunch of pain. The doctors did a bunch of tests, and they discovered that nothing was broken. So boom, there's my first manifestation. I decided it was going to be okay. Nothing's broken. They didn't break anything. Everything's going to be okay. And then that's the result that showed up. None of the tests showed that there was anything broken. However, this person was still in a lot of pain, and one of the tests did show what they thought was fluid collecting in their chest cavity, which is a pretty serious thing. You don't want fluid in your chest. That has to be taken care of. So the doctors there decided that this person needed to be transferred to a different unit within the hospital so that those doctors could take care of this fluid. So I had to, they actually took the injured person to a main part of the hospital. So they had to be taken by ambulance. So I had to follow the ambulance. So, that could seem really scary. That could seem really immediate and urgent. Someone you love is being taken in an ambulance. But as I was following the ambulance to the main part of the hospital, I kept telling myself, you know what? This is going to be okay. They're going to be fine. This is treatable. They don't even have their lights and sirens on, so it's not a super big emergency. Everybody was calm when they were saying what was going to happen next, and I just kept that story going. This person's going to be okay. This is treatable. Everything's going to be okay. So we get to the main part of the hospital, and they decided that this person needed to have a chest tube put in their chest. So that's where they cut a hole in the side of you and stick a tube in to drain out the fluid that's not supposed to be there. And then, the doctors were also saying there's different kinds of fluid it could be. Ideally, we would like for it to be blood, because that, to the doctors, means it's a less serious thing. Okay. So again, in my mind, I'm saying, okay, if this is the treatment that they're saying that this person needs, this is going to be the placebo that works for them. This is going to be the thing that helps them, that fixes them, that cures them. This is all they need. Everything's going to be okay. It's going to be whatever the lesser of the problems is. If it's blood that the doctors intend to see, great, that's what's going to happen. Okay, so I just kept holding that assumption. I was in the room while they were doing that procedure. The circumstances were right in front of my face. The person that was having the procedure done was in a lot of pain, and it was really hard for me to watch. It was really hard for me to not react, to stay calm, to stay focused on This is going to be okay. It's going to work out fine. This is what they need to be healed. Okay. So the circumstances were right in front of me, but I just kept deciding all along the way, what's going to be true next, what's going to be true next. Okay. So we got through that procedure. They got the tube put in correctly, and it started, removing the fluid, and the fluid ended up being blood, which is what the doctors were hoping it was, because that's, an easier, in their eyes, means something less serious. Okay. So now, because this person had that procedure, they had to be admitted into the hospital, because you can't go home with a tube in your chest. The doctors want to monitor it, make sure it's doing its thing, check on your lungs, check on everything. Okay. So we waited in another room for a overnight room to be ready. So the whole time I'm in that room, I'm focusing on my end goal. This is not going to be anything serious. They're going to get treated for this. We're going to be out as soon as this is done. They're going to heal completely. Everything's going to be okay. I kept that story going, even when the person who had the tube in them was scared and worried and stressed and seeing the chaos of the emergency room. Like it was the circumstances were very real. The illusion of the reality of the 3D was very real and in my face. So I really stayed focused in my mind. What's going to be the end result of this? What's going to happen next? Okay. Because I decide, right? This person is me pushed out. The doctors are me pushed out. The experience is me pushed out. So I decide what happens next. Okay. So we waited and waited and waited. And we finally got into a room so this person could have their own separate private space. And they, all these doctors and nurses came in and got this person hooked up and admitted and everything. And so helped them get comfortable, gave them some pain medicine. And then everything started to kind of calm down. Okay. So this is the day one. This started at the very beginning of the morning, actually on Christmas. And now we're at Christmas evening. So we're in the hospital. This person's admitted. Everything's going well. Okay. They're getting the treatment they need. They just found that one thing that was wrong, and the chest tube is correcting it. So once they were settled and okay, we realized they were going to have to spend the night, at least one night. So I went home. I took care of things I needed to take care of at home. And then I went back the next morning. And then that whole day I spent with that person in that room, and in and out, doctors constantly, people constantly in and out, nurses, doctors, physical therapists, occupational therapists, you name it. I mean, when you stay in the hospital, there are people constantly coming in and out of that room. So just checking and doing more tests and administering more medications and checking the status of the tube that they put in, right? So we went through that for, the whole next day. And then the next day, so now we're on day 3, I came back and the doctors decided, okay, we like how the tube worked. It looks like it got everything. Now we're ready to take it out. So the third day, they took the tube out. And then they said, okay, now we just need to monitor for a little bit longer just to make sure, we don't like to send somebody home right away. You've got sutures in your side. They want to make sure everything is still okay. So this is the third day. So on the third day, a doctor came in and said, when we were doing tests initially, we thought we saw something a little bit concerning in an MRI, and that was a scan of the patient's head. And so I thought, well, that's ridiculous. This person is fine. In my mind, I kept saying this person is fine. And on this third day, the patient happened to be acting really confused. And so, other doctors were saying other types of diagnoses, and like dementia or memory loss, or what things could be causing this confusion. Okay. And again, there were some scary words coming out of those doctors' mouths. And they told me that they thought they saw something on this other test. So in my head, I had to really stay focused. No, this person is completely fine. It was just bad imaging on the test. This person does not have memory loss or dementia. There's another explanation for it. Everything's fine. I refuse to believe that. In my mind, I refuse to accept anything you're telling me in my mind, okay? No matter if the doctor said we need to do 12 more tests. I was like, okay, 3D, I see what you're showing me. Doctors, you do your test, but this is what's going to be the result of that. We're going to get perfect test results. This person is fine. There's no scary diagnosis. We're going to be able to go home. And the only issue was the chest tube, okay? So we waited for a while, and then they decided, okay, they needed one more test. So even though the chest tube was out and that doctor was prepared to let this person go home, they wanted this one more test. So the patient couldn't leave until they did this one more test of their head, and then we were potentially going to get to go home on the 4th day. So or on the 3rd day. So then it turned out that the hospital was really, really busy, and we we're not the most urgent case for that test that this patient needed. So we just had to wait our turn. And that required a whole nother night stay in the hospital, which was okay because they were still monitoring after the chest tube had been taken out. So, you know, the patient was okay with that. They were still in a lot of pain. So this was now the third night. Okay. So they stayed one more night. I came back the next day, and they finally were like, okay, it looks like this person is going to be scheduled for this test coming up in a few hours. So we waited and waited and waited and waited. And I kept telling myself that same story. The test result's going to be great. We're going home today. The test result's going to be perfect. We're going home today. The test result's going to be great. We're going home today. And this person is not confused. They're very lucid. They're very, you know, they're cognitively perfect. They're cognitively perfect. I kept telling myself that, even though I could see that the patient was confused. Okay. So, finally, they came in and said, okay, it's your turn for the test. So they take the patient away to go do this one last test. And this is all we're waiting for to be able to go home. And the doctor that was going to let this person go home was leaving at a certain time. So we had to get the test done and the test results back to us before that time. Otherwise, the patient was going to have to stay a whole another night in the hospital because there would be no doctor there ready to discharge them. So while the patient was in the test, I walked around the room, the hospital room. I just walked back and forth, and I kept reminding myself, don't get caught up in the illusion. Don't get caught up in the 3D. What's real is up here. You decide what happens next. Don't get caught up in the 3D. Don't get caught up in the illusion, Melissa. You can do it. You can do it. This is what's happening. This is what's true. The test result's going to be perfect. We're going home tonight. We're getting discharged tonight. We're going home tonight. The test result's going to be perfect. I said that over and over and over again to myself for 2 hours while they were gone doing the test. I just walked around reminding myself that I am powerful, reminding myself that out here doesn't matter. If I don't like it, I change it up here, reminding myself that I decide what's true. Even when people kept coming in and out and I had to remind them, oh, she's getting this test done, or, oh, we're not sure if we're going home today. Doesn't matter. This is what's true here. Okay. This is what's true. This is what's happening. This is what's true now. So I kept doing that. Anytime any evidence out here would present otherwise, or anytime I had a thought come in my mind that said, ooh, maybe something else is wrong, or ooh, maybe we can't go home today. Okay. So the patient came back from the test went really well, and now we just had to wait for the results. And it was 2 hours before the doctor was going to leave for the day. So we had a 2-hour window for that test to be read by the doctors that read it, and then communicate that to the doctor that was potentially going to discharge the patient. So we're waiting, we're staying positive. We ordered some dinner. We turned on a funny movie. And in my head, I'm just running that story. Everything's going to be fine. We're going home. There's nothing else wrong. We're going to go home. So I think the doctor was leaving at 6 o'clock, and about 5:30, he came into the room and he said, I have great news. The test result was fine. There's nothing that needs to be acted on. There's nothing urgent. There's nothing that needs to be treated. Everything looks great. We just suggest that the patient follows up with her regular doctors after all of this, just to, get them up to speed with everything. You guys are, I'm comfortable discharging you to go home today. So I can't tell you, in that moment, I was just so excited and proud of myself, because no matter how many scary diagnoses started to pop up throughout those 4 days, I decided what was next. I decided what was true. I decided what was going to happen to this person that I care about. I decided what the future was going to be, right? Because every moment is now. And those people in your reality, they're just playing a part. So what part are you going to continue to let them play? You don't allow for any other possibility than what you want is true. Don't entertain any thoughts other than what I want is true. I don't care what's showing up out here. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you did. I don't care what happened in the past. This is what's true now, period. And the best part of that was as the doctor was saying, I'm comfortable discharging you, he also said, I'm really not concerned about the confusion, which had actually gotten a little bit better. But he said, I'm really not concerned about the confusion because it's really common for people to get confused in the hospital. And this isn't something we're seeing on any scans. I think it will dissipate after you guys get back into more of a normal routine in their regular environment. And that made so much sense to me. That's the how. I didn't know how they were going to explain that. I didn't know how they were going to explain the confusion without a scary medical diagnosis, but I decided that they were. I decided that this person was fine. And guess what? The doctor had to tell me that. That's the reality that had to show up for me. And after he said that, that made total sense to me, and I could understand why somebody would get confused. They don't see where they're being taken when they're in an ambulance or in a lot of pain. They're maybe disoriented because they're focusing so much on the pain, and there's tons of people coming in and out of the room all the time. It's very easy, and maybe you don't get good sleep because you're constantly interrupted by nurses and doctors and things. So it all made sense to me. The evidence that showed up made total sense for the end goal I was looking for. So, and now that this person has been home and back into more of a normal routine, there's no confusion. They're perfectly fine. They're healing really well, and everything, is starting to get back to a good place, and they're going to be at 100% really soon. So I just really wanted to share the story because this was really hard for me, and I cried, you guys. I reacted. I got stressed out. I didn't get good sleep. I focused on what the doctors were saying sometimes, and it scared me. And I constantly had to repeat the story that was happening to other people that were concerned about this relative, because I was the point of contact for everybody. And so it was scary, and I reacted, but I still got my manifestation. I still manifested healing for this person. I still manifested good diagnoses, good test results for this person, because no matter how I reacted, no matter if I cried, no matter if I got stressed, I stuck with my story. I let myself feel those emotions of the stress, and then I stuck with my story. And I didn't let anything get in the way of, this is what's happening. This is my reality, and I decide what's true, period. There's no other option than this happening. That, you have confidence and conviction in your affirmation, even if the exact opposite is just thrown at you left and right in your face. You hold firm to the assumption that what you want is the truth, and it will show up. It has to. That's the only way this works. So I just felt like this was such a good story to share, because it really helped remind me how powerful I am. And I could go back and think, oh my gosh, what did I think that created this? Because I would never want to create something where somebody I love gets hurt, or a holiday, we have to miss a holiday, or, we have to stay in the hospital. Of course, I would never want to create that. And I could probably, reverse engineer some of the thoughts that maybe led up to that. Maybe I thought this person had bad balance. Maybe I thought, I was really excited about the holiday and didn't want anything to mess it up, or was worried it was going to get messed up. I'm sure I could go investigate that, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is, what do I want to be true next? What do I want now? What would I prefer to be happening now? When things happen in your reality and you don't like them, and they seem bad and scary and hard and difficult, it's okay. It's changeable. It's not permanent. It's fixable. It's just, what do I want now? Okay, I see you, circumstance. I don't like you. I want this instead. This is what's happening now. This is what's true instead. And that's how you navigate it. You notice it. You don't make yourself feel bad for creating it, because of course you would never do that on purpose. You just decide what you would prefer instead. You decide what happens next. So, and then of course, if you want, after everything has manifested beautifully and you get what you want, you can of course start creating really good intentions around the thing that happened that you didn't like. Like, start telling yourself, that was just a fluke thing. It'll never happen again. This person has great balance. They're very careful, or this person's brain is healthy, or this person's heart is healthy, or this person is always in great health, or we never have to go to hospitals. They're always in good shape. They're always in a really, really healthy. I'm really healthy. My body's really healthy. I feel amazing. I've healed from any ailment I've ever had. it's really easy for my body to be in perfect health. You start changing that story. So I intend that this helped you. I just really wanted to share because this was such a, it was a scary thing that happened, but I manifested health for someone. I manifested their healing, and now everything is back going in a great direction. So you can do it too. You can do it too. No circumstance, can get in your way unless you let it. Nothing is permanent unless you decide it is. No diagnosis is true for you, continues to be true for you, continues to be true for somebody else, unless you agree that it is, unless you accept that that is true. So when you get information from doctors, acknowledge it, take care of the immediate problem. Like if you're in pain or bleeding, obviously seek medical attention for that. But then you start telling yourself a better story about it. Start telling yourself something better is true for you or that person. And I promise you, you will get that. You just hold firm to that. You have confidence in your story, no matter what shows up, no matter what anybody tells you, okay? And I have some affirmations that are for health specifically. So I'll link that below this video. But, just start telling yourself, I always get good news at doctor's appointments. They always get good news at doctor's appointments. They're really healthy. I'm really healthy. My mind controls my body and I decide what's true, okay? And my mind controls everything, right? So I decide what's true for them. So you can help people you love and you can help yourself. And yeah, I just really wanted to share this one because I was really, really happy with the end result. And I thought it could help you. So with that, I intend that you have an amazing rest of your week. I intend you health, wealth, love, everything you desire because you can have it and you are powerful and you are limitless. And don't let the 3D make you think otherwise. Okay. All right, everyone. I think that's it for this one. And I'll see you in the next one.